Thanks, Wendy. Thank you for coming to the Saratoga Springs March 27, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. We have Commissioner Karn is excused for the evening, and Commissioner Wilden will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Time has been set aside for public input. Public input is limited to no more than 15 minutes total. This time has been set aside for the public to express ideas, concerns, and comments for the subject matter not listed as public hearing on the agenda. Is there any public input for this evening? Seeing none, I'll close public input. We'll follow with our first public hearing. Amendment to Title 19 Land Development Code of the City of Saratoga Springs for arterial setbacks, Chapter 19.02 Definitions and 19.04 Establishment of Land Use Zones and Official Map, citywide, city initiated, and Planner Stout will introduce that.
That's good. Good evening. So this code amendment is to update and to add for the minimum setbacks along arterial roads, and also to add a definition in 1902 to help better understand this edition in 1904. So what we're planning on doing is adding setbacks along arterials. So it's 105 feet off the arterial roadway center line, or if applicable, 15 feet from back of the 30-foot trail corridor, whichever is greater. We've been asked by the City Council to add this, as well as to change the minimum setback for the front corner side of the property from 10 feet to 15 feet. And adding the definition centerline roadway, just so, because there was not a definition that we specifically had for centerline, so we decided to add that to help if there's any questions with this statement. So the centerline roadway means the horizontal center alignment of the currently accepted roadway construction drawings. The reason why we're putting currently is because there have been times where there's a road that will change to arterial, and so the center line may be adjusted. So it's just to make sure that it's the current alignment. So we worked with legal as well as engineering to make sure that that is an accurate statement. So that is, that's all that we have for the code amendment.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and open for and we will accept public comment on this. Is there anyone that would like to make public comment? Seeing none, we'll open for commissioner comment. Seeing none, I'll just ask a quick question. Was there an issue here, or what led to this change?
So I think all I know is that it has been, I think we just want, it's more so Sarah had some discussions with the City Council, and they just, I know that there's some codes in other cities that have this in their code, so this is just in case there's any issues with main roads or arterial roads that we do have a setback in place. It's just, it's common for other cities to have this in their code, so it's basically just to add that to make sure that we're in the up and up, and we're making sure that we catch this if it ever becomes an issue.
Okay.
I believe as part of that as well, and Sam can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we're wanting to preserve that trail corridor in the event that an arterial roadway gets widened, oftentimes what we're finding is that becomes, you know, kind of the encroachment for where those new lanes or whatever it may be for the expanded right-of-way. And so giving us this extra setback there gives us room if we, for whatever reason, need to work within that trail corridor. So.
Okay. And Commissioner,
Yeah, thank you so much. Excellent. I was just wondering, could you go through, it says setback along arterials. It has 105 feet off there. Can you explain all of that? Do you know which one I'm talking about? Yeah, there we go. Could you kind of explain that and help us understand that, or help me understand this?
Yeah, maybe you can help us as well. This is a new definitely, but so it would be from, I believe, the rear property, or it'd be from the building footprint, correct, to the center line of the road. 105, it has to be 105 feet. So meaning from the rear building footprint, 105 feet to what they consider the center line, which is usually what you'll see on a plat. It's the middle, close to the middle line along a right-of-way or a road. So it's from where you're able to, the setback where you're able to build, to 105 feet to the road center line is kind of what what the distance is. And then yeah, and basically, just as David said, it's more so just to preserve our trails if that ever comes to it.
Okay, so what is the current setback right now on those?
So there isn't one. So we're adding that. So they're currently, we don't have a definition for arterial setbacks. We don't have anything. So we're just adding that because our city council wanted to add that to make sure that we are preserving the trails as well as the main roads, to make sure that homes aren't being built too close to arterials.
Okay, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just a little concerned that I have no idea what this new implication is going to cause to existing landowners, and what 105 feet look like. What is the norm? I mean, I just feel like we're showing something here that we just don't know anything about, and I'm a little concerned about that. Not that I'm not supportive.
Yep.
I just don't get it, and maybe I'm the only one that doesn't get this.
Raylan.
So I think that's a really good question, and we discussed this with engineering pretty ad nauseum. And our understanding, Sam and I sat in with Dan, is that this will ultimately result in about 5 additional feet of setback from where buildings would typically be built now, and that's to preserve that corridor, like David was saying. So that way, if an additional lane is added, it doesn't feel like that building is basically sitting on top of the road. The impact that it'll actually have on the future developments is minimal. It'll just be pushed a little bit farther from where it would typically be placed today.
Okay, but currently there is no setback requirements.
There's not a setback that's worded like this, but we already have the 30-foot trail corridor, and they have to be back from that. So what this will essentially do is push it 5 additional feet back, but it's just not worded in the sense of a setback along an arterial. This is focusing on our main strip, essentially of Redwood, and what will become Mountain View corridor.
Okay, so this is very specific locations. It's not just any arterial.
Yeah, we only have 2 right now, correct? Mountain View and Redwood.
And yeah, and there may be, like, sometimes there's public roads or roads now that might become an arterial, but there's not many of them. So this is just in certain circumstances. So this won't, like, affect most of the residential area, neighborhoods in Saratoga.
Okay, but there's not a trail corridor along every arterial road, right?
There is.
There
Yes.
is?
Yeah, we preserve the trail corridor along all roads that are built now in the city. That's part of the code.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilden. Sometimes it is really difficult to understand some of these things, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to make sure that we have a good understanding of what we're dealing with here. Commissioner Miles, hold on, there we go.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the clarification as well. If I understand correctly, this just gives the city more options to expand the roads if necessary. Having lived on the East Coast in pretty high density cities and areas, I think this kind of planning is smart now, because what I saw particularly in Virginia was they developed to the road, and then down the road, it was too late to do anything. You'd have to come in with eminent domain, you'd have to, it was just a nightmare. So if I understand that correctly, I think this is actually a pretty good.
Thank you, Commissioner Miles. Commissioner Hill?
And again, I think the real impact is on trails, because if you're on trails, you want to be safe. You don't want that to encroach, and you've got arterial transportation going, the 105 is about 8 feet 7, well, it's 105, it's 105 feet, correct? From the center line. So again, you're just going to want to have that safety if you're out on trails. And it just seems like our city truly wants people to be out and out with families and walking. So I think that adds tremendously to it too.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Seeing no other comment, I'll now entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead. I move that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation for approval of the requested code amendment of chapters 19.02 and 19.04 with the findings and conditions in the staff report. And there are 2 findings and 1 condition. Well, there are 2 findings, no conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Is there any question on that motion? And can we get a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we'll now vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. We'll move to our next business item, approval of the minutes for March 13th, 2025. And I will now entertain a motion on that.
I move that we approve the minutes for March 13th, 2025.
Is there any question? We don't need, is there any question on that motion? Seeing none, is there any second?
A second.
Thank you. And we'll now vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? I forgot to say that last time, didn't I? Sorry. Okay, that passes. We'll move to the commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments we need to make for tonight? Seeing none, any director's reports?
I can give you a quick rundown of council agenda from their last meeting on the 18th. There were several items that were on that agenda related to items that have been brought forward to the, previously have been brought forward to the Planning Commission. There were 2 code amendments, the athletic coaching use, if you'll recall that one, as well as the sports court setback. Those were both approved. There was the sewer lift station site plan that was also approved. There was the Lakeview Academy major site plan amendment that was approved with some added conditions. The council felt that there were 24 spots along the western portion of the property that had been kind of marked as temporary stalls. They wanted to see those as permanent stalls that would just be roped off during drop-off and pickup. And so they added that as a condition, and then they had a condition that queuing could not begin until after those stalls, essentially making it so that that whole west portion of the queuing where cars enter is solely for queuing and not for any sort of drop-off or pickup. The only other item that evening that was something that had come forward to the Planning Commission was the Mount Saratoga Village Plan 4, the overlook area, and that was approved unanimously as well. So,
Thank you. Do we have a need to enter a closed session tonight? Okay. That will end our meeting. We'll go ahead and adjourn, and we do have a training, so nobody's allowed to leave yet.
A training. Is this a record?